Hello. Oh, popped up right on Facebook and YouTube at the exact same time. Okay. Just waiting for people to turn up. Hello. We got people dribbling in. Let me see. Whoops. There we go. I'm on. Oh, sugar. Just a sec to turn my alarm off. Okay, I'm back. I just had to turn my alarm off. That was my alarm for this live. I don't need that now because I'm already here. Okay, so while we're waiting, I'd love to know where you're from. So I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. Beautiful sunny day, but it's getting colder because it's fall. If you're in Australia, it's spring. I lived there for about 20 years. Loved it. Did not miss the snow or the cold one little bit. Okay. So where are you from? Okay. So I was just reading something. Okay, I may as well just get going. No one's answering me. Oh, there we go. Hermosillo. Hermosillo. Is that right? Mexico. Welcome. Hermosillo. I'm probably saying that wrong. Davie, Florida. Oh, you've been here before. I remember that. Davie, Florida. Okay. So let's get going. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you're not new here, welcome back. And if you go in, I don't know why I said it like that. If you go in the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them, one for toddlers, one for older kids. And you can look into coaching. There's a wait list for that, but I finished up with a bunch of clients. So I'm taking a bunch of new clients on right now. And it depends on the age of your kids. I like to mix up the ages of the roster of the clients I'm working with. Just for my own sanity, because if I had nothing but toddlers or nothing but teenagers, it would, I like variety. So let's get going with your questions. My daughter and I filmed our very first podcast today. It went well. It was just weird. It was weird having someone here while I'm talking. So it was great having my daughter here. So we're both on camera. If you see it on, I guess it'll be on YouTube or something. I don't know. But anyway, so we're very excited about that. So that was the first one. I don't know when they'll be out, probably in a couple of weeks. So thanks so much for putting your questions in. The questions are on Instagram. There's a questionnaire on there for the podcast. Okay. We are on week 3 of the older boot camp. That's 3 to 12-year-olds. With our 6-year-old son, one of his rules is no hurting others, with the consequence of 10 minutes of housework, my choice. If he breaks the rule more than once in a day, do we just add another 10 minutes? Yeah, I do it twice, but on the 3rd time, I go like this. Don't tell him this ahead of time. But on the 3rd time, you say to him something like this, and you say, I'll tell you what, this is the 3rd time you've done that now, so we're going to go straight to 24-hour media blackout. Do you understand? So yeah, on the 3rd one. It varies, but around 3 times. So yeah, don't tell him that ahead of time, though. Not fair. I didn't know you were going to do that. Say, well, you'll know next time, won't you? Because he is 10, how old? 6 years old. He's old enough to understand that. This one's no one can answer this. You said I spent 2 hours cooking and my kids don't eat. How can I get them to eat? I don't know how old they are, what you're trying to get them to eat, how often they eat. There's just, I don't know. It's too general, too vague of a question. So I can't answer that. There is no easy answer to that. What can I do when my 5-year-old constantly whines? I would say something like this to a 5-year-old. I would say, you know, when you talk like this, I want that. Say, I'm never going to answer you from now on when you talk like that. And this will be the sign. You can do something like this. Remember Ross and Friends? You say, when I go like this, it means you're whining. And that I won't answer you, but I'll just go like that to let you know you're whining. But if you talk nicely, I'll answer you. The answer may still be no, but I will answer you. So he's 5. He can understand that. It's going to take a while. Whining is something that they don't come out of the womb doing that, but they learn. It must have worked in the past. So it's a hard habit to get out of because it's a way of, it's just a way he's communicating. So it's a tough one. I don't know why I'm tired today. I have no idea why. I'm just staring. I wasn't even reading anything. It's just staring. Okay, let me see here. What do I do with a 7-year-old who pushes past me when he's in a bad mood? Well, I don't quite know what you mean by that. Like pushes past you. Is it because you've said something he didn't like, or he's just in a bad mood? He does that. So that's physical stuff. If he actually pushes past you, I would say I'd put on the behavior board, no getting physical. And I would say that's because when you push past me, that's physical. But I'm just trying to get by. I don't care. I'm calling it no getting physical. So don't get pulled into arguing semantics. If he's pushing past you, put it on the board. Don't get physical with me. And that includes pushing past me. If he argues it, that's on him. There'll be a consequence. I don't argue stuff like that. I don't argue anything with kids. It was funny actually doing the podcast today with my daughter. Just seeing her, like she sort of was commenting on things growing up, and just it brought up a lot of memories. So it was quite fun because her memories of those years are different from mine in that she perceived it from a 3-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old. You know what I mean? They view things differently. It was quite fun. Is it too early to teach volume control at 2? Yeah, pretty much. 2-year-olds don't learn easily. But I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Okay. And by the way, I never really wanted to discipline kids if they were loud because they were having fun. Are they loud because they're having fun? So yeah, I don't worry about that. It's just part of having kids. They're loud. I'm loud. So, okay. These are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, connect with toddlers in their world, not yours. You don't go to the nail salon with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. Number 4, you discipline toddlers in their world. They're not about words. They're about consistent corrective actions. So if they do something naughty, you say no, and then you take them away from the fun or the fun away from them for a few minutes or whatever. They'll eventually learn. They might learn after the 50th time. It takes repetition, repetition, repetition. And number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming, okay? I always call them crazy, but it's just that they haven't developed sanity yet. Someone asked me, and it was a really good question. They said, do you ever get bored saying the same things every day on a live? Because it's a lot of the same stuff, right? And I wouldn't say bored. Because I'm helping people, so that always feels good. That's the way I view it anyway. So, but I don't always hear myself. Like I'm thinking about something else when I'm saying certain things, like because I say it so often. So that's what I know. It's like driving by route. You know how you don't remember driving home from work because you do it all the time? It's kind of like that. Okay. Should I have a behavior board for home and grandma's house? No, you're the leader, not grandma. Don't put that on someone else, okay? Have grandma report to you later on. So say, grandma, just say to the grandma, say, can you just report to me so I can deal with it? You don't put that on someone else. You don't get other people to parent your children. You do it. One of the podcasts that we're going to be doing is on consequences. People ask me about consequences all the time. And I was saying to my daughter, I said, gee, that's going to be a really short video or podcast because the consequence doesn't matter. It's not about the consequence. It's about the act of a consequence. So yeah, we'll get into that in the podcast. That'll be coming up hopefully in September. We're just filming them now. But yeah. This is Kayleen Jones on YouTube. Hello, first timer, but recently discovered your videos. Love the info. Excellent. Welcome, Kayleen. I'm pretty out there, evidently. I say a lot of stuff that offends a lot of people, but I just say it like it is. I've been working with kids for 52 years now, and times change, but people don't. The only difference is that we're not on cell phones now, or we weren't back in cell phones back then, I mean. But yeah, it's people don't change. It's all about connecting. You've said in a few posts that you don't like timeout. Oh, I could go on about that one. Can you say more about why you don't recommend timeout? I hate timeout. I think it's humiliating. It's horrible. Let's equate, kids are the same as us. They just can't articulate how things feel like we can. Let's say you make a mistake at work and your boss says, oh, that was bad. Go stand in the corner, face the wall for 36 minutes because you're 36 years old and you think about what you did, young lady. How would you feel? Would that be kind of humiliating? Actually, someone on here said, I would love 36 minutes off work. So that kind of blew my example out of the water. But anyway, you get the idea. It's humiliating. And when you say to a child, you go sit in the corner, you're basically like putting them in jail or something. You go over there, you're not even worth talking to. You're treating them like a piece of crap. And you go sit there and you think about what you did. They're not thinking about what they did. They're sitting there feeling like a piece of crap. It's horrible. Yeah, I can't stand it. Absolutely can't stand it. I haven't said this in a long time, but there are 3 things I really hate. Timeout is the least bad one. I can't even remember what they are now. I must have written them down. It's so funny. Will I find them? It's kind of funny. 3 things I absolutely hate. Oh, I can't remember what they are. Well, I know what the number 1 is. Oh, sugar. What the heck is it? Okay, I'll go right to number 1. The absolute thing I hate the most about the most popular discipline methods out there. 1 is timeout. It's not horrible compared to these other 2. Sugar. What is that second one? That is so funny. It's just I haven't said it in ages. How can I not have had that written down somewhere? Sorry, I have to try and find this. Because I know my daughter's going to want to turn it into a video, and she's going to go, Mom, what are you yabbering on about? That is really funny that I didn't write that down. How weird. How weird. Okay. Anyway, timeout. The one I can't stand the most. So what would be another one? So maybe someone can come up with it because I've said this a lot. The one that's the worst one is the countdown. It's when you say to a child and you say, let's say they're hitting someone. You say, I'm going to count to 3 and you better stop. So in that 3 count, you go 1, 1.5, 2. It makes you look like you're afraid of them for one thing. And it's a free reign to punch as much as they want in those 3 counts. Plus, when it's over, you don't even punish them. Where's the consequence for just beating someone up? So you're sending the message, it's okay to be rotten in the short term, just not in the long term. And it makes you look like a wuss, like you don't know what you're doing. What the heck is the middle one? What would it be? Does anyone remember? Who's been following me for a while? So there's the countdown, the timeout. What's the third one? It's the middle one, number 2. The one that I don't like, the 3 really common. I think I know what it might be, but I don't think it is. Sugar. Darn it. I'm dumb. I'm so mad at myself. I used to say it all the time. I just forgot. Wait, I better write that down. I'll find it. I'll remember. 3 discipline methods. I'd hate. Can anyone remember what the other one is? No one. Because usually someone can correct me on stuff. Yeah, sending them to the room is the same. It's like, go away from me. What does a parent do instead of timeout? Just keep watching. Oh, wait a minute. Timeout and sugar, Cassie. You're teasing me. Diversion. Darn it. Thank you, Chrissy. Just a sec, I'll explain that. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's number 2. So the one I hate the most is the countdown, okay? The one I hate the least of the 3 is timeout. The middle one is diversion. It's when they're doing something naughty and you go, oh, over here. Now you can do that with a 15-month-old, but don't do anything like sugar or anything like really exciting. Just so, we're going to read a book or something. But also, you never divert with broccoli. You're always diverting with candy or chocolate or something. So diversion teaches them nothing. It teaches them that if I'm rotten, they'll divert me with something great. I'll get chocolate. I'll get a reward. You're treating it like a reward. Here's your reward for hitting your little sister. So yeah, very good, Chrissy. I'm very impressed that you knew that. Okay. Was that just a guess or did you remember that? Yeah. How could I have forgotten that? I used to talk about that all the time. Okay. Diversion. Yeah. Spanking now. I mean, it's not, I'm not saying I condone it, but that wasn't one of the three. It was diversion. Yeah, isn't that funny? So quite a few people remember. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, I get asked this quite a bit. Erica Wilson said, ideas for consequences other than media blackout. Okay, lots of families that I work with have no screen time, especially in different parts of the world. They're very strict, religious beliefs, etc. So I have to work within those constraints. Well, not constraints, but you know what I mean, different cultural stuff. Do you know that a lot of families, they have daily prayers? And I didn't know this, but in some cultures, they have a bedtime prayer and then they have a first wake up. They have a prayer early in the morning at a certain time that they have to get the kids up for early morning prayer. So I have to work around all that too. I love all that stuff. I'm fascinated by this. I'm not religious, but I'm fascinated by all these different cultures and religious beliefs. It's fascinating. So yeah, I'm learning a lot through coaching. Anyway, what was I going to say? Okay. So if you don't have media, so what you do, what they're talking about, what Eric is talking about there is that there's two consequences for the kids, one rule for everybody, and then two consequences for the kid for that one rule. The first consequence is a positive action. It's like do a chore within 15 minutes of being asked to do so. Usually the chore is only 2 minutes, but you give them 15 minutes to do it. Then if they won't do that or they don't do that, whatever, then you say, okay, 24 hours of media blackout then instead. So then you go to the negative deprivation. So if they won't do the positive action consequence, then you resort to the negative deprivation one. I never start with that. I don't want to take something away. If they did something naughty, I want them to replace that with a good deed, doing something positive. If they won't do that, then you take the big kahuna away. Now, it can be a favorite toy. It can be an activity that you were going to do that isn't a huge deal. You can even just cut it in half. Let's say you were going to go to the park. You might say, okay, we're going to go to the park. We were going to leave now, but we'll wait a half an hour now. So we're going to get half an hour less. You probably weren't anyway, but they don't know that. So you can cut something in half, minimize it. You can say, okay, then you didn't do that chore. So tonight when we go out for ice cream, you're only going to get half the serve that your brothers and sisters are going to get or something. That's always a fun one, but you don't completely take it away from them. Sometimes you do, but anyway. So yeah, you can take something away. Yeah. And when it's something, I call it inventing leverage. If you don't have anything to take away, invent it. Invent the leverage. So say something like this. Hey, look, you didn't do the chore. So we were going to go out for ice cream tonight. Now, because you didn't do that, we're not going. It was going to be a surprise. You were never going to go, but they didn't know that. So you've invented leverage to take away. Okay, I'm just looking on YouTube. YouTube's getting more people turning up to the live, so I have to remember to look at that YouTube too. How do you manage a 2.5-year-old who refuses to poop, sometimes pee and potty, and threatens to do it on the floor if you don't put a diaper on them and doesn't care if it's on them, even if I say, okay, that's part of your leadership stuff. Yeah. Once you potty train them, if they're being that spiteful towards you, you probably got other stuff that's going on around that. Like, those standalone courses, the niche courses for toddlers, there's one for tantrums, one for hitting, one for bedtime battles, and one for potty training. They're standalone niche courses just for toddlers, or the bedtime is 2 to 8 years old. But anyway, if there's other stuff that's really not going well in the family, those things are going to be harder, especially potty training. Yeah, potty training. Because you got other stuff going on. You might want to check out the big boot camp course for toddlers. It's sort of more encompassing. It sort of talks about everything, but it's not like the other boot camp course. The other boot camp course is 5 weeks. It's a whole process. It's a whole system, a methodology. With toddlers, it's more, you're just sort of reacting to what they might come up with. They don't all come up with this stuff. So it's like you kind of look through the dictionary there of what I've written down. It's not a dictionary, but you know what I mean? You kind of look through everything I've written down, and you deal with it as it comes up more. But yeah, I would say there's probably other stuff going on there. If they're using it like that, yeah, I'd work on my listening. leadership skills. Sorry, I was reading this. Do your adult children choose to be close to you, or are they far from you? Well, my son's a 40-minute drive. My daughter's a 5-minute walk. So my daughter and I are city people. But yeah, I don't know what you mean by that. You mean, are we close? We don't have any problems at all. I'm very, very, very attached to my kids. And yeah, actually, my daughter's my business partner. So we just filmed our first podcast today. I don't know when they'll be out. But yeah, we had a lot of fun doing it. It was a blast. She's behind the scenes. She does all the marketing, social media, and planning in the company. And she's the behind the scenes. I'm in front of the scenes, or whatever you call it. So, but anyway, so it was a lot of fun. And I've got a grandchild. My son's a dad. Do you find your methods work if grandparents, us, have custody? Okay, if they're with you, whoever is parenting them predominantly, you're the ones that you want to work on this stuff, the leadership stuff. It's whoever has the most of the time, and is basically you have custody. Yeah, then you're the parenting role, right? Yeah, since we don't. Oh, this is cute. Since we don't do much media, we will take away swimming time, dessert, favorite toy goes to timeout. That's cute. I don't believe in timeout, but it's okay for toys because you're not going to hurt their feelings. I never want to see a child feel bad about themselves when I'm disciplining them. It's okay if they feel mad at me, but I never want to punch a kid in the self-esteem. Does that make any sense? There's no shame in any of this stuff. I'm fine if they are mad at me. I'm quite okay with that. But I don't want them to feel bad about themselves. Does that make any sense? To me, it does, totally. If a child starts to feel awful about themselves as a result of anything I'm doing it wrong. There's no shame in any of this. Are you talking about your 2.5-year-old? 2.5-year-old daughter just won't go to the bathroom anywhere but at home. Won't go to a public bathroom, won't even use the porta potty. I'm not too sure about that one because I'd have to ask a few questions around that one. There again, that might be more of a resistance, stubborn thing. Plus, she doesn't want to go outside. Is it in public, or can you cover her up, have her between the car doors, or you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to ask a lot of questions. Like, is it an embarrassment thing, or is it just stubbornness? If it's stubbornness, you got to do some work around that too. You got to work on you mean what you say and say what you mean. They pick up on the fact if you're in charge or they're in charge. I have no idea what something means. I'm going to have to look it up because it could be something rude for all I know. Sometimes that happens. Oh, I don't talk like this. That's why I didn't know what it is. And I never will. It's just not my style. EC is elimination communication. Yeah, it's not my style. So I can't answer that. It's not something I would teach. So I'm not going to comment on it. New to your page, where do I find your behavior board? The behavior board is completely free and it starts at 3 and it's in the link above. Or on Facebook, it's in my bio. I don't know. Wherever my picture is, I think it's near that. I don't do my social media, so I don't know. And I'm not really on there. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. Sorry. But I know it's there because lots of people get it through there. I just got your email saying I'm doing a podcast. My daughter and I just filmed our very first podcast together, which was so much fun. It's weird because she hates being in front of the camera, but she's on the camera too. I mean, it's just a podcast, but you'll be able to see it on video too. It'll be posted somewhere. Anyway, we did that. We had a lot of fun. And it's interesting because she's not a mother yet, but she sees me all the time. Like she does all my videos basically. So she sees and she grew up with me, but she still doesn't know the answers to a lot of stuff, which is interesting. I thought she would have been able to answer anything, but the basic stuff she can, but a lot of it is, and I realized she's not a mother yet. She hasn't worked with all the thousands of kids I've worked with. And, but it's quite fascinating, but she knows what I did, but yeah, it's quite, I just find that interesting. I thought, she grew up with me. But yeah, she was on the receiving end of this. That's it. She was on the receiving end of all this leadership stuff. So it's a little bit different. It'll be out. Yeah, we just filmed episode 1 today. So I think we're going to have a few of them in the can before we start releasing. So I think it'll probably be in a couple of weeks that they'll be all ready to go. Oh, I can't comment on that. You're asking about drinking milk and that. I'm not a nutritionist or anything, so I can't comment on that. Plus, you didn't say how old he was, et cetera, et cetera. Do you discipline? It's such a good question. I'm sure other people would have this question, but I just take it for granted that you would know this, but that's ridiculous. How would you know this until I tell you? So do you discipline a behavior even if it's not on the behavior board, if it merits a consequence? No. If you're going to be doing the behavior board, you just focus on that one thing. Do whatever you did before with all the other stuff. The behavior board is a teaching tool. You're learning. It's your training wheels, learning how to lead, because you're on there too. So you're only focused on that one rule. A lot of the other stuff gets even worse because they think, well, you're only focused on that, and never take those consequences and apply them to anything else. What happens is in week 3, this is kind of how it goes. If you're just getting the behavior board, it just is the behavior board. After that, like in the course, the boot camp course, and in coaching, we go off the behavior board and then we deal with everything. But the behavior board just focuses on 1 week, it's 1 rule, 2 week, you get another rule. So now you got 2 of them. The 3rd week, you've got 3 rules. You don't go any further than that. You only have 3 behavior boards when you're done. And what happens is once you start leading and learning how to do this, the other bad behaviors will start to drop away. If you're doing a good job with this, the other bad behaviors will start to drop away because they'll start respecting you. And that's sort of the idea. But then the course, of course, is more intensive. It goes into a great detail about how you move forward after that. But no, you just stick to the behavior boards and do whatever you were doing before with the other stuff. It doesn't mean you ignore it. You just do whatever you're doing before. It's frustrating for clients when they hire me. What about all the other stuff? I said, yeah, you're learning with one thing at a time. I would go in on day 1 and deal with everything in day 1. But I'm level 10 with what I teach because I invented it. So you're learning. You're level 1. So you're learning. You couldn't handle more than 3 rules or 3 bad behaviors. I could manage 30. So, but you're learning how to do that. So you start small. It's like anything. Just start and you're building as you go. This isn't about your kids. It's about you. We're not fixing kids here. We're teaching parents. I teach leadership. I managed to get respect with all the kids, teenagers, toddlers I worked with. And I did that through leadership. So it's not the kids. It's not the teenagers, delinquents, crisis work. It's not the kids. It's you. You lead. You know how to talk to kids, how to treat them, how to get their respect, how to make them feel good about themselves when they're with you. And everything just gets easy. Maintaining this is easy. Getting this respect is hard work. You got to earn this. You got to work for this. It's worth it. But yeah, then you can just sail along. Like basically with my kids, we were talking about this today, and I said to my daughter, I don't know if it'll go on the podcast, but I said, do you remember me ever disciplining you? And she goes, no. She goes, you just had the look. She said, that's all it took. It's just the look. That's where you want to go. You just want the look. But they had it too. If I was being annoying, I'm very silly and goofy. And if I was annoying the heck out of them, which I did, I annoyed them more than they annoyed me. I'm pretty sure about that. I'm kind of a lunatic. So I came out a lot in the podcast. Anyway, I don't talk a lot about how crazy I was, and I still am. I have a lot of toddler in me. I think that's why I was around kids so much. But yeah, I got the look a lot too. Like, Mom, you want to take it down a notch? Oh, okay. Okay, I'm going to move over to Instagram now. If you want to join me over there, it's BratBusters Parenting. I'm on YouTube. YouTube, oh my goodness, YouTube's picking up now. YouTube's my smallest platform. I have 1.5 million followers, but 15,000 of those are on YouTube. So, and the 3 platforms have the rest. So YouTube's the best place to watch these lives because I'm more likely to see your questions on there. It gets really busy on Instagram and TikTok. They're my biggest platforms. Anyway, I got to go. So thanks so much for joining me. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses, one for toddlers, one for older kids, or you can look into coaching. I have a wait list, but I just finished with a whole bunch of clients and I'm taking on a whole bunch of clients right now, but I'm mixing up the ages. So yeah, anyway, we'll see. Okay, thanks so much for joining me. I'm hopping over to Instagram. Bye now. What? There we go. Okay, let me see YouTube here. Do you have any resentment towards your birth parents or adopted parents? Do you wish your adopted parent did anything differently in raising you, such as culture? No, none of that. They were my family. That was it. I was very lucky. So interesting. Yeah. The thing is that when you're adopted, like I was, secrets imply shame. If it had been a secret growing up and then I was told, I would have been messed up because secrets imply shame. I was told when I was a toddler and I grew up being talked. It was talked about all the time that I was adopted. I was chosen. I was special. That's how it was explained to me. So yeah, I never had any resentment at all. I was lucky. I got very nice parents. I'm very lucky. Okay, so welcome to my live. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, toddlers and an older one. Or you can look into coaching. I just finished with a bunch of clients, so I'm onboarding a bunch of clients. But I'm mixing up the ages, so I can't take everyone on right away necessarily, but you got a good chance of getting in right now if you're interested in coaching. That's all in the link above. Okay, let's get going. I don't let anyone in on these lives. I only did it once a couple of years ago, and yeah, it didn't go well. I couldn't get rid of them. I was brand new. It was funny. Any tips for 3-year-old lying? Yeah, use the behavior board. It's free above, and just put down no lying. And every time they lie, say here's a consequence. What do you do about a toddler saying, "I love you, give me a hug," to being disciplined? So what they're doing is validate me. They're trying to pull you into the drama. So that's not the time that you hand out all the hugs and everything. And yeah, you can come at me. People hate it when I say this, but you do not hug after a tantrum or when you're disciplining. If they'll, "I need a hug, I love you," and just go, "You're all right. You want to go read a book?" It's like that. Okay. Don't be pulled into the drama. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to pull you into this drama. Don't be pulled in. That's not a love hug. That's not. It's a manipulative, validate me for being naughty hug. So yeah, just go, "You're all right." My son gets so angry when he's in trouble. That's because there's shame attached to that. Probably. Could be. Depends on the age. I don't know how old he is. I could answer it easier if you could tell me the age. Always add the age. How do you approach toddler hitting mom? You just say no, push them away, and then if they come at you again, prevent the next hits and just keep saying no and walk away. So they will eventually get the message. If you want more information, I have a Toddlers Who Hit course. It's one of my mini toddler courses. My daughter and I, by the way, filmed our very first podcast today, and we had a blast doing it. It was fun. She's behind the scenes in the business. She does all my marketing, social media, and planning. And so, yeah, she's been organizing all this stuff. She just tells me what to do and when to turn up and what to say. I just do. So anyway, that's how we operate. So we did our very first podcast. We're going to do a few of them before we release the podcast. So I think they all just go out, and you don't just release one, evidently. You're supposed to release a few when you first start. I don't know. I guess if people like it, they can sort of binge a few of them anyway. I don't know how that works. But hopefully in a couple of weeks, we'll have that out. But yeah, we're just filming them now. What are your corrective measures? You mean with toddlers? I don't know what you mean by that. 3 and above, check out the behavior board. That's free above. With toddlers, they're about consistent corrective actions. So it's remove them from the fun or remove fun from them for a few minutes or whatever if they've been naughty. They eventually get the hit. You got to be consistent, though. They remember. You can do it right 9 times out of 10. It's the 10th time that you did it wrong. That's the one they remember. They just do because it suits them, right? They only remember what suits them. So, but they'll eventually remember what suits you because they just can't keep it up forever. So, yeah. What do you do when a 6-year-old won't go to bed? Well, they're 6. You can keep walking them back to bed. Check out my bedtime battles course. That might be a good one for you. That goes from 2 to 8 years old. Or you can look into my boot camp course. That's just more information plus the bedtime battles in there. But yeah, that's just your job to get them in bed. And there is bedtime battles is by far one of the most common, popular, and successful methods of everything I teach. Because it's black and white. There's no gray area in it. This is how you get them in bed. This is how you keep them there. It's an ugly night. It's usually one night of sheer hell. So do it on a Friday or a Saturday when you don't have to get up the next day, just in case it's a rough night. But it's often just one night. Check out my behavior board if you want to know some consequences. It gives you that. And it's not about the consequence. We're going to be doing a podcast just on consequences. I figure it should last about 30 seconds. That's my guess, because how on earth am I going to talk about something that doesn't matter? It's not the consequence that matters. It's the following through with it. So it's not the actual consequence. If you did something naughty, do a good deed to make up for it. Wash a window, sweep a floor, brush my hair, make my bed, clean the toothpaste out of the sink. It's not the consequence that matters. It's the follow through, you making it happen. That's what matters. If they won't do that positive action consequence, then you resort to the 24-hour media blackout or take a toy away for a day or whatever. So don't get caught up in, there's no magic consequence. It's your consistency and follow through. That's all that matters. So there, I don't even have to do a podcast now. There you go. But I'm sure my daughter's very good because she doesn't have kids. Plus she comes from a different angle with all this. So she has a lot of questions too. So even though she grew up with me and they didn't have to be disciplined. That's the thing. I got respect when they were tiny. So she doesn't have a memory of any of this stuff because they just weren't disciplined. They didn't need to be. So yeah, it's their memories are very different from what I teach because get respect and sail right through the teen years. I don't teach that because most people aren't going through that, right? Okay, how do you handle a play date when the other child constantly bullies and the parent gives no consequence? I drop that friend like a hot potato. My kid comes first. No way would I put my kid through that. Nope, I would drop that friend. Or I would try and just see that if it's just a friend with you, like your friend and their kid, I would say, how about we just go out at night from now on? I would say, and if they really delve into it, I'd say, oh, they just don't seem to get along. Don't point the finger at her kid. Just say they don't seem to get along. Say it like that. She'll know. And if she dumps you as a friend because she's offended, then she's not a real friend. If a friend wants their kid to be able to bully yours, then they're not a friend. So yeah, I've dumped friends over that. My kids always come first. How do you explain to a 6-year-old no more YouTube? What do you mean by that? As a consequence? Or just for the heck of it? I don't know what you mean. So I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here. We just bought your boot camp course. Thank you for your lessons, Paul. Which one, the toddler or the older one? I guess I could look it up. No, that would take me quite some time. I don't know why I thought I'll just look it up. Give me 20 minutes. A dummy. Okay. Oh God, I'm stupid sometimes. Okay. Oh, like yesterday, I couldn't get into Costco, the website. So and it said you can delete some cookies. So I deleted all my cookies and shut down my entire computer. So then I had to call my daughter. You come help me. Your mom deleted her whole computer. Yeah, everything disappeared. And I did, I'm not that dumb. I did restore it from a day before when I hadn't deleted any cookies. nothing comes back. It didn't come back. Not the stuff I needed. None of my accounts. Isn't that dumb? Isn't that dumb? The funny thing is I've done that at least once or twice before. I can't get into Costco. I must delete my whole platform here. All my screens are all gone. Do you have any experience with kids with autism on the spectrum? Yeah, I do. Yeah, but that's all coaching. I don't discuss that on here because I have to look into it. I have to do some assessment. But I'm not a doctor or anything, but I've worked with tons of kids with lots of challenges, disabilities, and that. I used to work at, all my stuff with kids was volunteer work. That's where I gained all this experience. But yeah, I used to volunteer at lots of hospitals and care facilities for children with disabilities and that, and or just children with autism that are mainstreamed. The 3 to 12-year-old one. Okay, good luck with that. Don't rush through that. Make sure it's at least 5 weeks, that you can stretch it out to 6 to 7 weeks. But yeah, don't try and rush through that. Someone tried to do that. They thought they'd do one behavior board, then everyone wants week 4. That's the golden week, right? So everyone wants week 4. So they did week 1, then week 4. And they crashed and burned hard. It was funny. I think they're the ones, they ended up hiring me for coaching on the side, and they just used the course as like some reference material. They were in such a rush. It was cute. I love coaching. It's bar none my absolute favorite thing to do. Absolute in my business is my absolute favorite thing to do. I just love it because I'm mothering. See, I'm finished mothering. My kids are grown up. I got a grandmother now. So I'm finished all that stuff. So I still get to mother all of you because that I seem to have that real need. I've always needed to mother stuff. So you're an angel. So don't think so. I'm a good person, but I ain't no angel. I'm not exciting either. You know what I mean? I'm not trouble either. Okay. What if that friend that bullies is in the same class? Okay, here's how we deal with bullying. If it's physical bullying, I never teach children how to fight back. Why would I not do that? Because not all bullies are cowards. Some bullies are very good, practiced, accomplished fighters. They're not all cowards. They say there's that old wives' tale. Well, all cowards, you call them on their bluff. Well, they're not always bluffing. They're sometimes looking for a good fight. So if it's physical bullying, you always get an adult to fix it. Always. You don't teach children. You can't teach a child how to fix that. Or I wouldn't want to do that. Anyway, here's how you bully-proof kids. I was bully-proof. My kids were bully-proof. Here's how you do it. Here's the method. You agree with the bully, use humor if possible, then give them an out. So if a bully says, geez, you're ugly, you say something like, yeah, it runs in the family. Oh, well, we're quite comfortable with looking like baboons' butts. So what are you going to have for lunch? Agree with the bully, try to use humor, make fun of yourself, and then give them an out. Change the subject. If you don't do that third step, they feel the pressure to come back at you harder. You need to give them an exit, give them an out. Okay, that's how you do it. You do that with your kids at home, you role play. Do not role play with the actual thing they're being bullied about. Words hurt even though you're just joking about it and just role playing. And have fun with this role playing. So what you do is you put on like a silly hat and then you insult the hat so that's nothing personal. So you say, gee, that hat's ugly. Yeah, oh, well, that's why we wear it. Our whole family loves to look ugly. So what's your favorite PlayStation game? You see, you agree with the bully, make fun of yourself, like lighten it, and then change the subject. And you role play that with your kids. You be the bully, you be them, go back and forth, and have fun with it. And you can tell kids what to say, but if you don't role play, if they haven't actually said it, like even just role playing with you, when they're under pressure with a bully, it won't come out. I'll tell you my story. I was kind of born pretty sure of myself, so it helped. Plus I was raised in my mother was very funny. Anyway, so it helped. Just a sec, I got a siren going by. I live downtown, it's rush hour. Anyway, this is the only time anyone ever tried to bully me. I was in grade 2 and I had to go to the bathroom in the middle of class. And that was really exciting because the hallways were empty. I mean, as a grade 2, you were never in the hallway when it was empty. So I felt it was really weird. So I remember I'm coming out of the bathroom and coming out of the principal's office was the school bully. Grade 5, big, huge, nasty, mean kid. He saw me, and he licking his chops. He's coming, he's looking at me like this. And I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? I had to get past him to get to my class. So he came up to me. Now my last name was Hanky. So he comes right up in my face and he says, Hanky Panky. And I said, I prefer Snot Rag and Boogie Bundle. Oh, well, got to get back to class. He went like this and he never came near me again. Yeah, it's the only time anyone ever tried to bully me. So I agreed with him, made fun of myself, and had an out. Changed the subject. So no one ever came near me again. Not that I remember anyway. If they did, I don't remember it. So I remember being scared, but I had a mouth on me. Like I came out with it because I was came from very funny family. So I was used to talking a lot. This is interesting, and I never quite understand this one, but I've been asked this before. How do you show or explain personal space to a 3-year-old? I don't quite know what they're doing, but it comes up quite often. And then I always have to ask, what are they doing? Are they touching? Or are they right here? Like, remember on Seinfeld, the close talker, Elaine's boyfriend is right here talking to Jerry. Is it like that? Or is it like grabbing people? So I need to know, and you don't want to shame them. Because stuff like that can be, if they're trying to be friends with someone, you don't want to shame them. So yeah, I would have to know more about that. Okay, you got a 2.5-year-old who is hitting her baby brother. Okay, you have to supervise that 100%. You can't expect her to be responsible enough not to lash out at him. You got to protect the baby. It's just the way it is. So every time she hits, you say no, and you remove a toy from her, remove her from the brother. You got to do an action right away. It's got to be fast, and don't use words. These mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions are absolute crap. That is for you. That is not for your toddler. They're not listening to you. They're watching you. They are actions, not words. I know these mini therapy sessions, they got such a hold on society, and they're just crap, absolute garbage. Discussing all these big feelings. You even get down on their level and say, use your words. I remember the first time I ever heard that. I thought, are you freaking kidding me? Who the heck invented that? Use your word. How patronizing. They are using their words. Their actions. Their words are actions. Don't patronize them. The first time I ever saw this garbage coming out was about 30, 40 years ago, all this pleaser parent garbage. And the first time I ever saw it coming out was the participation awards. When I first heard of that, I thought, are you freaking kidding me? Participation. You just turn up and you get an award. Do you know what? I was grocery shopping today. No one gave me an award. I turned up. I was participating. Where's my award? You're going to raise self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. Talk about a disaster. I remember I used to have a column in the newspaper, parenting, and there was an article I wrote about it. And no one was ready to hear what I'm saying back then. This was a long time ago. They were all following this pleaser parent style and, participation awards, yay, Anyway, I knew it was garbage. So anyway, there was an article and evidently some mom in California, I think it was, she sued the school because her daughter did not get a participation award for sports day. Here's the kicker. That child never even went to sports day. And I think she won. The mom won I'm pretty sure she won. That's why I wrote it. That's why I would have written about it. Anyway, so yeah, I got trashed for not liking that. Isn't that interesting how things have changed? Yeah, I don't think I'd get trashed for writing that now. But I have never changed the way I deal with kids. But boy, oh boy, society sure has. I think they're coming around now. Does your boot camp have anything to help 5-year-old girl build self-esteem? That's what this is all about. Leaders make kids feel good about themselves. That's what leadership is. Leaders make kids feel good about themselves. You want your kids to like themselves and be proud of themselves. Bad behavior is not something they can ever be proud of. Being respectful, being nice, doing chores, being responsible, that's stuff they can be proud of. That's where self-esteem comes from, not from being told you're wonderful, you can do anything you want in the world. That's ridiculous. Self-esteem comes from what they do, not what they're told they are. Think about it. Pride, self-esteem comes from what you give out, what you do. You've got to earn that. You can't be told you're wonderful and have high self-esteem. It's impossible. Doesn't make any sense at all. Some of my clients are child psychologists. We argue a lot. They say praise is great. It can raise self-esteem. That's ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense at all to me. None. So yeah, we do argue a little bit. Which I love. And I always say, don't argue with me until we're all done. And I'll give you some free time. I'll give you a free half hour just to argue with me, because don't waste your time, because I'll never change. Like, I'll never change that. There's certain things I teach that I won't change. I've got an open mind. I'll listen, but I've been doing this for 52 years. So, and I just know it works. So there's certain things you can change my mind about pretty much anything else. I'm very impressionable. In my personal life, I'm not a leader at all. I'm a follower. If I like someone, whatever they say, I'll go, oh, sure, sounds fun. I'll do it. Or else I always say something like this. Oh, I hate that. Well, Lisa, you should try it. You probably like it. Oh, okay. I have no pride, no dignity. Just, I can change my mind like that. No, I hate that. No, Lisa, I think you'd like it. Let's go. Okay. So yeah, it's quite funny how I'm such a follower in my personal life. Only people I like, though, and trust, right? Only people I'm close to. Why did I talk about that? There must have been a reason. Self-esteem. Let me think. Yeah, I wanted to wrap that up with something, but I can't think of it. Yeah, give your kids something to be proud of. That's what increases self-esteem. That's what I'm all about. My whole goal, look up the pool story. It's the very first video. It's called Example of Leadership Parenting. After we're done here, look at that. Watch that video. That is what leadership's all about. I deal with bad behavior, then I focus on the good kid. Where you put your energy, where you put your focus is what grows. If you're talking about bad behavior, I don't do that. I don't discuss it. Why would you? Why would you? Deal with it. Yeah, that was bad. Here's your consequence. Okay, you want to go to the park? I deal with bad behavior. I don't let anything go. I deal with you. You have to let stuff go when you're learning, but I don't let anything go. I deal with everything, all the bad behavior. I don't let anything go. And then I instantly flip it. Okay, let's go to the park. No anger, no discussing it. Don't discuss bad behavior, or else that will become their identity. It's over. You've already dealt with it. Don't keep talking about it. It just knocks them down. Amazing bullying tip. Yeah, I've taught a lot of stuff on bullying. People don't ask me about it much anymore. I don't know if bullying's gone down. I don't know. I used to get asked about bullying all the time. I've taught that to tons and tons of kids. It takes some practice. They get better at it, though. When I first went on TikTok, I blew up overnight on TikTok. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, that was a couple of years ago. And the haters. Ooh, I found out later it was a lot of my competition were coming after me, insulting me. What was funny is I couldn't figure out why I was blowing up. I got like 500,000 followers in 6 months. Anyway, couldn't figure it out because nothing like that's ever happened to me before. So anyway, what was funny is I found out later, and I started doing lives, and I kept sort of wondering, why am I just blowing up? And then I'll go through a day, I'd get like 30,000 new followers in one day. Do you know what was going on? Evidently, someone else told me this. They said, oh, your competitors were doing duet videos with me and then criticizing me. And which then I would get those followers. They didn't realize my competitors blew me up. And they didn't realize that. I started to feel guilty about it. So I started talking about it on lives, and then they stopped doing it. Isn't that hilarious? Imagine doing that. Imagine being so bitter and twisted that you do that. I thought that was hilarious. So yeah, I had to tell them what they were doing because I was just feeling like I didn't want to get followers that way, But isn't that hilarious? I believe in karma. So there you go. Instant karma. It's funny. So I guess that was sort of a form of bullying. It doesn't bother me at all. I could care less. They were saying horrible things about me. I was loving it because I knew I was shaking stuff up. I'd rather be hated and make a difference than be loved and not make a difference. Oh, I like this. You're awesome and you give us hope. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to tell you anyone can learn how to do this leadership stuff. It did come easy to me. That's why I teach it. Okay. I really believe this is my calling in life. I was volunteering with kids in daycare centers when I was 11. So obviously I had this in me, but I've taught this to thousands and thousands of people. Anyone can learn this. I tell a lot of stories about clients, not names, of course, but in coaching. I kind of don't do that as much on here. I do some of it, but not as much. But I've had some clients and I thought, ooh, I don't even know if I can help them. Like they're just so traumatized and meek and mild, and they just can't follow through. Their kids are walking all over them. I'm amazed even they can learn how to do this stuff, because once they start getting little small wins and they start seeing results, they just become powerhouses. It's quite fascinating seeing people find their inner strength. And then they start connecting with their kids. They start having fun with them. That's my goal. Fun is your kids' love language. You start having fun with your kids, you'll see a difference. And I mean in their world, not your world. When we were doing the podcast, my daughter and I today, and we're talking about, I don't talk about this a lot, like my own personal style. And my daughter and I were agreeing that I'm definitely the silly one in the whole family. I always was. I always had a real silly, goofy side to me. I won't go on about it too much, but just silly. And that's why I relate to kids so well, because I like goofy stuff. I just like giggling. I've got a lot of little kid in me. And so we're talking about that. My daughter's not like that at all. She never was. She's more demure, sort of more she's just not silly. Doesn't have the silly stuff in her. My son's not really silly either. I guess I'm the only one. Just goofy. I find goofy stuff funny. But yeah, like I used to chase them around the house with underpants on my head, stuff like that all the time. But yeah, they laughed at it when they were kids. They thought it was great, but you don't have to be silly to connect with kids. It just happens to be the way I did it. But my daughter said, well, I wonder if I'll connect with my kids like you did with us. And I said, we didn't talk about that in the podcast so much, but we discussed that because she's not silly. She doesn't, and I said, well, I was very connected with my mother and she wasn't silly either. But my mother was a great listener. I always felt heard. My God, I felt heard and validated and treasured. And she was very good at baking with me and doing stuff like that. We talked about everything, playing games, like card games together. So we did a lot of bonding. It was just different. It wasn't like my mother in a million years would not have put underpants on her head and chased me around the house. But she would be rolling out a pie with me and get my own rolling pin. You know what I mean? Like you connect in different ways. So I think it was easier for me in some ways, and that I am in a kid's world a lot anyway. So in that way, it was easier, but you can always find a way to connect. It might be with music or dancing or art or science, doing science experiments, magic tricks, lots of things. Like, there's a million different ways you can connect with kids. So find your inner kid. Oh, what time is it? Okay. 4 more minutes and then I've got to go over to TikTok. Okay, this is such a good question, and you're going to hate my answer. What's the best way to take something dangerous from a 16-month-old toddler without them having a meltdown every time? If they've got something, take a butcher knife off them, just take it and let them have a meltdown. Why are you so afraid of meltdowns all the time? Everyone says, how do we avoid the meltdown? You don't. That's where the lessons are. The lessons are behind every fit, every scene, every meltdown, and every tantrum. There is a lesson behind that, so long as you don't feed it by giving it any attention. There's a lesson behind that. So don't avoid the meltdowns. If you want, you can try trading it with something else, but they're going to catch on anyway. They know when they're holding a knife compared to a toilet roll. You know what I mean? Like they're going to know what they really want is the dangerous thing. So I would just say no, and I'd take it away. Let the meltdown happen. Wouldn't bother me a bit. There's a lesson. I walk right into the storm because I know there's a rainbow at the end of it. Everyone's afraid of the storm, but that's how you get to the rainbow. Well, how's the best way to deal with snarky hormonal 12-year-old girls? You don't deal with attitude. That's just part of it. You don't deal with attitude, but you do deal with, if they're getting really nasty, you can deal with it, but you don't deal with attitude. There's no point. Set yourself up as a leader and they won't be snarky with you anyway. So your leadership avoids the snarkiness. Like they just don't snark with a leader. They just don't, because they care what you think too much. They'd be embarrassed. Have you ever had like a really good teacher or coach, someone that you like, a mentor that you look up to? That's what I teach. You want to be that mentor, that coach, that teacher, someone that they look up to. They don't snark with that person. They'd be embarrassed. So I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here while I answer your question. Oops, I got to move over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's BratBusters Parenting. If not, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids, and you can look into coaching. I just finished with a whole bunch of clients, so I'm onboarding new clients, but I'm mixing up the ages. So there is a wait list, but there might not be. If I know the ages I'm looking for right now. Not you, but your kids. Anyway, I got to get going over to TikTok, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. So that's where I save all of my lives. So happy parenting. Take care. Bye now. That's a good question, Heidi. It's on YouTube. Rule for 3-year-old is no hurting others at the playground or we go home otherwise. If someone hits him first and he hit back, do we still need to go home? How old is he? 3. Okay. I would say the first time that happens, say, look, I understand they started it and you were hitting them back. I'll let it go once. The next time that happens, you walk away or you come and tell me. And then you're not going to do anything with that other kid anyway, but you're just going to reward him for coming and telling you. So yeah, you let one hit go because he did it because the other kid invited it. Basically, he instigated it. Okay, welcome to my live. We've only got 15 people here so far on TikTok, so I'll just give it a minute here. Am I on the right one? I think so. Yeah. Every so often I'm on the wrong TikTok. I have a personal one. I just talk about old lady fitness. Because I'm an old lady and I'm really into fitness. Although I did talk about my underwear the other day, and I don't know why. I talk about the weirdest things. I talked about how many underpants I have. I hope I don't get cut off because I just said that word. Why would I do that? Why do I talk about this stuff? Because I just think it's funny. I have so many of those pairs of, you know what, I probably shouldn't have said. I have so many of them, I couldn't believe it. No good reason. Heaven forbid I should run out. Struck me as funny. I counted them the other day. So of course I talked about it on my personal TikTok. I don't know why. I have no filter. I just say what I'm thinking. Okay, enough about that. Okay, welcome to my live. My name's Lisa. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. Go on the link above and you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, toddlers and older ones. And you can look into coaching. I just finished with a bunch of clients. So I'm onboarding a bunch of new clients right now. You might be one of them if you're interested, but I'm mixing up the ages. So it depends, you know. I'm looking for certain ages right now, not of you, but of your kids. Any thoughts on ABA? The amount of times I have to look that up, and every time I do, I go, oh, right. Oh, applied behavioral analysis. But I don't discuss that. I'm not a doctor or anything. I have no qualifications. Yeah, that's not my lingo. But a lot of my clients are child psychologists, and they use that lingo. I said, don't use that lingo on me. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, you keep that. People ask me, what do you do with other people's kids? My answer is nothing. Suck it up and deal with it. Nothing you can do with other people's kids. If it's a family member, especially, just nothing you can do. That's none of your business how those kids act. It just isn't. Nothing you can do. But if it's a friend, I would just say, how about we just the 2 of us meet out for drinks tonight, like without the kids. If their kid is being nasty to yours, they'll clue in. If they're a real friend, they'll hang around. If not, then who cares anyway? Yeah, I wouldn't see a friend and their kid if that kid was mean to my kids. My kids always come first. How many chances do you give before taking something away? That's the countdown method. You don't. 1 strike, you're out. But check it out. Are you talking about a toddler or an older kid? Like, in other words, how many times can you be rotten before there's a consequence? You're just teaching them. They can be rotten for the short term, but not for the long term. Yeah, I don't give chances. Not if it's already a rule that they understand they shouldn't do, right? First time obedience. Well, it's like anything. Like, yeah. How many people can I kill before I go to jail? How many times can I do that? There's got to be chances, right? It's kind of like that. Like you do something wrong, there's a consequence right away. Then they won't do it. If they get away with it a few times, they're going to get a taste for it. They're going to keep doing it. I don't use the word obedient. Someone said first time obedience. I don't like that. Like I don't want obedient little soldiers. I want kids who take accountability and responsibility for their own actions. I don't talk about obedience because that's more authoritative. I don't teach that. I want my kids to be self-disciplined. My kids are about 3.5, maybe 4. Oh, 3.5 probably, maybe 3. And they were self-disciplined. Like I said to my daughter today during our podcast, I said, do you even remember me disciplining you? Because I got respect when they were tiny, so it kind of sailed right through the teen years. And she goes, no, but you had a look. You had mom's look. If you ever looked at us like that, we would just straighten up right away. You have a podcast. It's just going to be starting. We just filmed our very first one today, and my daughter does it with me. She asks the questions, but we feed off each other too. It's a mother-daughter team. She's also my partner in my business. She does all the social media, all the marketing, all the planning. She's basically the brains behind me. Well, I've been doing this for 17 years. She's been working with me for 1 year. So, but yeah, the podcast that was all her idea. And she said, we're going to get it going in September. And here we are, September, and it's getting going. So does your daughter have children? No, she's 29. She's married. And she'll probably have kids one day. My son's a father. He's 34. And he's got a little 8-month-old little girl. And she is, no, I can't talk about her because I'm just a grandmother. So, of course, she's absolutely adorable. I get all swoony, so I don't want to go on about it. It just sounds sickening. And it's quite interesting because when we talk about, I always thought that because she grew up with me, and I always thought that she should know all the answers to everything, except I specialize in teen crisis work, so she wouldn't know anything about that. But general questions. But then I realized today, it just hit me. I thought, well, I didn't discipline my kids, really. I got respect when they were tiny and just sailed right through. So she doesn't remember what I did with them because they didn't tend to act out. You know what I mean? So it's quite interesting. The only reason that she knows a lot of the answers to, because she answers most of my DMs and all that, right? So, because I don't have time to do any of that. So she does that, and she sometimes, she's pretty good, but she knows the answers when I'm talking about all the time. But she doesn't know the answers from her own experience because I didn't have to discipline my kids. So it just struck me as interesting today. I didn't realize that. That's why she doesn't know how to answer these questions, because they didn't get disciplined. How to get a 3-year-old to listen better to your ass. Become a better leader. We're not fixing kids. We're teaching parents. You're not a leader. That's why they don't listen. Work on yourself. You're not fixing kids. You're fixing yourself. You lead, they will follow. They just will. So work on yourself. She's not doesn't respect you. That's all. So work on you got to earn that. You haven't earned that yet. You got to earn it. Check out my boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old. It's all about getting respect. Love your parenting advice. I feel like it's very grounded and level-headed. I have no fluff about me. I have no tact. I just say what I'm thinking. But I'm very confident when I'm talking about this stuff. I've worked with hundreds of kids, teenagers, crisis work, children with disabilities. I know how to connect with kids and get the best out of them and make them feel good. That's what I do. And that's what I teach. That's all I teach. I don't care if you like what I say. I could give a hoot, but I do want it to work. So I'd rather you hate my guts and use my advice and get success with it than love me, but not use my advice and get nowhere. So I'm here to make a difference, and I'm very passionate about it. Someone said you're very calm, which I relate to. I don't really have a temper, and I don't yell. I've got a strong personality, but I don't yell. Because when you know what you're doing, you know how to handle a situation, there's no reason to get upset. But you should see me on the computer when something goes wrong. Yeah, I could fall into a fit of tears quite easily. Like I deleted my cookies yesterday because I couldn't see the Costco website. It said I had to delete some cookies, which I did, and I lost everything. My whole computer shut down. That upset me. Wasn't calm yesterday. It's stuff like that upsets. Isn't that weird? I know how to handle people. I just can't handle computers. So the sun's coming in weird now. Sorry about that. Okay, this is from Maria. Oh, you've been here before. I remember the capital A at the end of your name. I'm getting there with your, it's on YouTube. I'm getting there with your behavior board. Now my twin 6-year-old boy sings, I like consequences. My girl, not so much. She's calmer anyway. It's interesting that a lot of kids end up loving that behavior board and they go running over to it, especially because they get to discipline you. So they go running over. This is so cute. It was one of my favorite stories with one of my clients. They had a 3-year-old and a 15-month-old. The 15-month-old was hitting the older brother to get his attention. So he'd whack her back, knock her right on the floor because she's only little, right? She's all tiny. So the rule for him was no hitting. So one day, and he still was doing it a little bit, but there's consequences. So he was learning. So anyway, one day the mom was watching. The little 15-month-old went up, hit her brother. He usually would hit her, but he didn't. He took her hand, and the mom couldn't believe this. He took her hand, walked her over to the behavior board, and he said to her, see, no hitting. Is that the cutest thing? He was using the behavior board on his little sister. And she got what she wanted. She got his attention. So win-win. Is that adorable? You want older kids, and when they're little, it's hard to do, but you want older siblings to become heroes, not leaders. Someone asked me once, it was on a live, how do I get my older kids to be leaders for their little brothers and sisters? I say, no, you don't expect your older kids to parent your younger kids. What you do want to do is set them up as heroes. Okay, that helps them to get along. What's the behavior board? It's on the link above, and you can check it out. There's rules and consequences for every member of the family over 3 years old, you included. That's what makes it work. Leaders are accountable. Leaders are showing kids how this is done. Hey, if I yell, I get a consequence. I have to play hide and seek with you for 10 minutes if I yell. Something like that. That's why the kids like the board, because there's something in it for them too. I was saying to my daughter, I said, was I accountable when you were growing up? And you said, oh, we loved it. She said, we loved it when you messed up if I forgot to do something or whatever, because they got something out of me. We'd go out and get a treat or something. I'd say, oh, shoot, what do you want? We'd love to go to the water slide park tomorrow. I'd say, I'll bring your suits. So yeah, I was accountable. That's what makes this all work. By the way, if you're trying to look really smart and have all the answers and do everything perfect with your children, you're doing it wrong. You're not trying to outsmart them. You're not trying to be perfect. You're setting a bad example. You're going to make them feel dumb and feel guilty for not being perfect. And no one's perfect anyway. I hate people who try and impress other people. Like they're the most boring people in the world. No one wants to be impressed. They just want to have fun. Your children's love language is fun. It's not being impressed by you. They don't care. It's having fun. That is their love. That's my love language too. Don't try and impress me. I'll just yawn. I can't stand the pretentious garbage. Yeah. No one wants to. My mom once said that. She was never impressed by money or anything like that. Nothing superficial. She said, no one wants to be impressed. They just want to have fun. And I always believe that too. I've never been impressed by anything superficial ever, but you make me laugh, I'm all over you. How do I get the board? I can't figure it out. Just check it out, hit the link and keep going, and you'll get it via an email. Yeah, the behavior board's there. It's the very first thing. It's at the very top. It's the newsletter. And the newsletter says you get the behavior board with the newsletter. I know it works because tons of people download it every day. So I'm just going to look at it now to see what it looks like. Yeah, BratBusters Parenting Newsletter. And it says, it's the very first thing on the page. And it says, upon signing up, you'll receive your free BratBusters behavior board. So you just put your name and your email. And then you have to wait about 15 minutes and then the email will come in. Sorry, we're all exhausted from our toddlers and our brains are off. Yeah. Welcome to toddlerhood. They're physically exhausting. And some of my clients, I'm not saying this to insult. I never would insult my clients. I love my clients. Actually, a really cute client said to me, she said, I never feel judged. I just feel like you're my friend. Isn't that sweet? I get all emotional. Anyway, I love coaching. Anyway, what was I going to say? I forget. Oh, yeah. Some of my clients have actually said to me, and they said, we've never said this to anybody else. And a whole bunch of them have said this, but they've said, if we knew then what we know now, we never would have had kids. That's how awful it can get. If you've got older kids, especially 12-year-olds who are just telling you off, they hate you every single day, why on earth would you not regret having kids? Not to say you don't love them, but they've really made your life misery. You love them, you die for them, but you wish you never had them. Does that make any sense? But yeah, a lot of them. So then I say, okay, fine, get that off your chest. I've heard it before. Now let's get to work, because I want you to enjoy your kids. I want you to raise nice kids, but that's secondary. I want you to enjoy parenting. I loved it. I said to my daughter once, it was about a month ago, I said, were you aware that I was wallowing in you too? And she said, before I could even finish it, and she goes, oh yes, of course. I wallowed in mothering. God, I had fun. So much fun. It was a blast. That's what I want for you. But you got to earn that. You got to earn that respect so you don't have to discipline or anything. You can just have fun with them and be friends with them. I love being a mom, but I hate parenting. Now, I hear everything. And I always say to parents, don't hold back. Tell me what you're thinking. I'm here to fix it. I'm not here to judge. And also, we don't go into the past. We move forward. I'm a coach. Therapists focus on the past. Coaches focus on the future. So yeah, just tell me what you need to tell me. Get it off your chest. Tell me you hate your kids. I've heard it all before. And then we'll move forward. It's so hard to find that balance when you've worked all day and you're drained. Yeah, there's things that we do. There's little small moments that we have to make and make them rituals, habits with your kids. But I don't know your situation. It's hard to do that. I've got clients. God, I got one client right now. Just time crunch. Just doesn't have time right now. It's quite frustrating. But yeah, we have to find moments where you find those special moments. I'll tell you a good example of this. You've probably seen it. It went viral. There was a teacher. It was a man teacher, and he was in a very underprivileged area with kids who had rough lives. And they were all the kids were walking into the classroom. He was at the front, and he had a separate handshake for every single child. If you haven't seen it before, look it up. The teacher with special handshakes. It'll come up. It's went viral. Anyway, and now it was just a handshake. But it was different, and it was a long handshake. Each kid had different moves and he remembered them all, like 30 kids. He had them all anyway. And now, what did that do for those kids? It doesn't look like much, but I as soon as I saw that, I thought, oh, he gets it. He just gets it. You want to make them feel special, not about you, but about themselves. You want to make them feel like they matter. And he just got it. He got it. And I'll bet they had never acted out with him either. Right? Because he was a leader. They looked up to him. He's like a mentor. He's someone that they would go to with their problems. He just gets it. It's a great video. Lisa, I'm having such a hard time with my 3-year-old. You are not alone. Check out the boot camp course. That might be a good fit for you because they're only 3. It goes from 3 to 12, and you can keep that course forever. Like I always say, my courses don't expire unless I do. But even then, my daughter will keep them all going. But anyway, but yeah, that's a really good reference material too, because I've thrown in a whole bunch of stuff in there. It's got additional tips in each chapter, but it's a 5-week program. So you might want to check that out. If not, just get my free behavior board. I got tons this is all free. The behavior board's all free. Got tons of free stuff. We put out tons of videos all the time too. And why do we keep doing that? It is a business, yes. But do you know the emails that we get saying how much we're helping people? Now, my daughter and I are both very driven by our heart. We like to ideally be working in a job where we feel good about what we're doing. We're helping people. And holy moly, talk about great feedback. So that's why that's why we love our jobs. Love it. Imagine every day being told you're helping someone. Imagine that. Imagine being in a business where every single day people say that you're helping them. I mean, isn't that like a gift? Isn't that lovely? So I feel very, very grateful. I'm 63 years old. I doubt very much I'll retire anytime soon, just because I get up every morning and I look forward to reading an email that I get, just very lucky. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it too, but overall, it's the good outweighs the bad for sure. What should I do if they've already been given a consequence, but they keep breaking the rules? I don't know exactly what you mean, but I'm going to guess. So let's say that the rule was no hitting. So they hit, and then the consequence was they have to do a chore. They wouldn't do the chore. So now you've reverted to a 24-hour media blackout. In that 24-hour media blackout, they continue to hit. So what they're being punished for, they continue to do. There's not much you can do because you're not going to double it. There's no point. There's no point. It doesn't work. I'm not going to go on about that, but you don't double it. It's very rare that I've ever doubled that. It would have to be like an much older kid, and it's very, very specific situation. Anyway, so what I would say is if they keep hitting, say, well, that's why you've got media blackout. The thing is, it's going to be one hell of a 24 hours, but chances are they're going to stop hitting. It's a lesson. You got to be willing to go through the storms to get to the rainbow. Everyone wants the rainbow, but sometimes the only way to get one is through the storm. Right? Everyone wants, blackout is just no screens, no TV, no iPad, nothing. So no phones, nothing. So anyway, but everyone wants that rainbow, but they, for some reason, resist going through that storm. It's like saying, I want to get fit, but I don't want to work out. No, I'm not going to do it. How do I get fit without working out? How do I do that? It's like that. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all to me. Yeah, I want to lose some weight, but I don't want to have to ever be hungry. Yeah, never. I don't want to ever. Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't want to have to quit eating. It's like that. No, I want my kids to be good, but I don't want any tantrums or scenes. I don't want that. You see? It doesn't make any sense. I used to teach fitness, and someone said to me once, they said, I want to have your body, but is there a shortcut? And they were serious. And it's not that my body was so great, but I was a bigger person, and they weren't as fit. And I said, well, I've put in years of work. Like, it was almost devaluing my effort. And I said, because they said, well, I don't want to do what you do because I work out every day. They didn't want to do that. So, and I remember that really clearly. I thought, as if what I do isn't valued. Like, I put in the work. You got to put in the work for this stuff. You want your kids' respect. You got to be willing to put in the work. I'm not telling you it's easy. I'm telling you it's worth it. There's a difference between the two. Anything that's worthwhile is worth fighting for, is worth going through the effort. I don't really want stuff handed to me. It's funny because I often say I wouldn't want to win lotto because I like to earn my stuff. But yeah, I'd probably like to win lotto. So I was lying. But anyway, I find it more rewarding getting something I've worked for. So yeah, think about it this way. Oh my God, the amount of parents that say, I get it. I'm so empowered now. I get it. So they put in the work and then they transform and they just start to become leaders. You can see it. I can literally see it with some parents. They'll turn up to a session like this and they'll say, what are you smiling about? And they say, I'm getting it. I feel it. Okay. Were you a stay-at-home mom? Yes, I was. I was very lucky. I was a stay-at-home. I taught fitness, and I spent a lot of time. I was volunteering with kids all over the place. I did a stint in volunteering in a care home. And I took my dog in, like one of those therapy dogs. It was a golden retriever, beautiful dog. So I took him into this care home, like for seniors. So I thought, well, I'll do that. I've been working with kids, volunteering with kids for decades. I thought I'll do it with seniors, right? So I'll go in there. And it was just a bad experience. This older guy kept coming on to me and he just kept asking me for cigarettes and, so I never did it again. I thought, yeah, I'm going to go back to kids. That's my strength. We all have our strengths. That wasn't mine. Yeah, he just kind of grossed me out. He was really coming on to me and asking for cigarettes constantly, every 2 minutes. Do you have some emotional regulation skills you could share for tantrums when a child is whiny and tired? No, you don't emotionally regulate a child. When you're a leader, it happens organically. But yeah, you don't. There's no such thing as that. I don't know who teaches that, but it's come up a couple times. There are no techniques to teach emotional regulation. This doesn't make any sense to me. You set yourself up as a leader. Like you're talking about working on the kids. You work on yourself. You stay calm when they're having a tantrum, then they will learn how to emotionally regulate themselves. That's how it works. Okay, would we qualify? I've got 9 children, ages 15 to 9 months. Qualify for what? Qualify for what? You mean coaching? Yeah, I've coached. That would, I think, be my biggest family if you ever hired me for coaching. I think my biggest family was 8 kids. And they were all natural. They weren't foster or adopted or anything. It was all natural. God, they had some good systems for sharing. I'm going to tell you that. Oh, this was another family, actually. They had such a good. I said, well, how do you, this family, they had quite a few kids. I can't remember how many, but 6 or 7 or something. And I said, what about sharing? And they said, oh, no, we've got no problem with that. I said, what? And they said, no, here's how it goes. Nothing belongs to anyone. It belongs to everyone. Except when someone first gets a toy or a new present for their birthday or Christmas, it's exclusively theirs for 1 week or until they get tired of it. So if they get tired of it before that first week, then it's everybody's. So nothing is anybody's, everything is everybody's. And the kids grew up with that. Oh, God, I don't know if they worded it that way, but wow, I was so impressed with that. Best way to connect with a child, play, fun. Fun is their love language. Play is their love language. It's not talking and saying how wonderful they are. It's not all the praise that a lot of parents think is magic. It's for you. It's not for them. Like you look at a 5-year-old little boy and you say to him, you're wonderful. You're special. I love you so much. I'm so glad you could do anything you want. You can be anything you want. Okay, I'm going to go read a book now. This is the kid. What did that praise do for him? Nothing. Squat. You say to that same kid, hey, what are you doing? You want to play? What did that do for him? Sure, okay. Look at the difference. Praise versus play. Parents tend to overpraise and underplay. Praise is okay, but that's just for you, really. They don't care about it. They want you to play with them. That's their love language. I'm not big on compliments. They don't do much for me. Oh, you're really pretty, Lisa. Oh, aren't you this and that? No. Make me laugh. Go spend time with me. Let's go for a walk. Do something with me. You know what I mean? Like just empty. I don't like all that empty stuff. That doesn't do it for me. Just all these compliments. Like I don't like charm. Charm. If I ever meet anyone charming, I always think, what are they hiding? Charming people always have secrets. They're hiding something. So yeah, just spend time with me, laugh with me. That's what kids want. It's the same thing. That's why I've got a lot of inner child in me. I'm very basic, actually. So I get kids. I understand it. So yeah, my love language is fun, time with me. That's what kids is. Kids are like that too. Compliments don't do it for me. Oh, okay. I'll admit. I'm pretty vain with fitness. If someone says, oh, you look really fit, I like that one because I work for that. So that one I like. But even that, I'd rather you make me laugh than tell me I look fit. And that's what kids think about it. Okay, oops, I got to get going. Thanks so much for joining me. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, toddlers and 1 for older kids. And you can look into coaching. I just finished with a whole bunch of clients in the last couple of weeks, and I'm onboarding a bunch of new clients. But I am looking, there is a wait list, and I'm looking for specific ages. Because I like to mix up the ages of the kids that when I'm working with people, when I'm coaching. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. And we just filmed our very first podcast today. It'll be out hopefully in a couple of weeks because we're going to have a few in the can before we start to release them. So my daughter and I just filmed it together, the very first one. It was fun doing it with her. She asked the questions, I answer them, and then we do the mother-daughter bantering. It's quite interesting because she's she's almost 30 now, and she doesn't have kids yet, but she asked the same questions that you probably would. So it's quite interesting because she didn't raise her, I did. So she doesn't have all that experience. So it's quite interesting. Anyway, I got to get going. Thanks so much for joining me and happy parenting. Bye now.